If you had one shot or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment, would you capture it or just let it slip? Yo. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking how? Everybody's choking now. The clock's run out, time's up, over, loud. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes rabbit. He choke. He's so mad, but he won't give up. Daddies, he know he won't have it. He knows his whole back to these ropes. It don't matter, he's dope. He knows that, but he's broke. He's so stacked that he knows when he goes back to this mobile home, that's when it's back to the lab again, yo. This old rhapsody better go back to this moment and hope it don't pass him.
Listen, we can talk about the flag, but let's talk about the team. Wait.
And a very good Friday morning to everybody out there. How are we doing today? This is Phil Stifle from Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media Live, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Retweet, share, like, thumbs up, subscribe, notifications turned on because you don't want to miss a minute of the action here on DSM Media, especially here at Trending in the AM every single day. But man, DSM Media has been packed with shows, content, 5-6 things every single day this week. So make sure you turn the notifications on all your social media platforms so you don't miss a minute of it. Like I said, I am Phil Stifle. Make sure you shoot me a follow at Bearded Knowledge on Twitter. And joining me for the 5th day in a row, my main man, Jason Voorhees, at Mustang3651. I do not know what I'm going to do next week, Jason, when you go back to work and I don't have you 5 days next week. That's so. It's been so great to have you on every single day of your vacation. I mean, you're on vacation and you didn't sleep past 8 a.m. once for me. I love it.
I know. I pulled a you. When you go on vacation, you don't miss shows. Well, I'm on vacation and I didn't go away. It was a staycation. So I figured if I'm at home, there's no excuse to not be on a show. If I was away, maybe I might have missed a day or two.
You're not hunting or something like that. You're not tuning in from the. You're not signing in from the woods or anything like that from your little hunting cabin.
But I'm home, so I'm like, you know what? Why not? It's fun. I love doing shows. I mean, you know that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a blast to have you on because we got. Honestly, I think conversation point wise, maybe not viewership on every single show, but conversation point wise, I think we have a lot of great conversations this week. Obviously, a lot of Phillies, and we're gonna get into Eagles today and stuff like that. But some serious conversation as well. There's I think this week, Jason. I think we had a really damn good week. So I hope everybody enjoyed it this week. We're not done yet. We still got today. We got to get into it today. So on today's show, we're going to talk Phillies to start again, as we have been all week, because now they're up to 7 in a row, second straight series that they've swept by sweeping the Brewers yesterday. Fantastic job. Then we're only going to spend like 15, 20 minutes on the Phillies. Then we're going to get into Eagles talk. FanDuel, one of the leading gambling and fantasy sites out there, they put together a list. They ranked the NFC from top to bottom. And I think it's a good starting point to start some rankings and some thought processes of where the Eagles rank in the conference and also in their division in the NFC East. So we're going to rank some of the quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, but also go over that FanDuel list and see where the Eagles are on that list and what we agree and disagree with it. So that's the agenda today. Mark, I got you next week. I can't wait to have you on next week, my friend. Can't wait for Overreaction Monday. Who knows what will happen this weekend to overreact to. But this week, let's get into it with the Phillies. Yesterday, Phillies win against the Brewers again, 7th in a row, sweep the Brewers. Second straight series sweep the Angels, then the Brewers. They went 8-3 yesterday. It was not a pretty performance from either starting pitcher. Zach Eflin only went 4 innings, a lot of pitches. Corbin Burns, who we were hyping up all week, saying, dude, that was going to be the guy right there. And I think he was at 113 pitches, and he didn't get through the 5th inning. So definitely both teams worked the pitchers yesterday. I don't want – I kind of feel, Jason, and I'll start it like this. Corbin Burns has a track record of pretty damn near greatness lately. You know, did he win the Cy Young last year, or was he second in Cy Young? He didn't win it last year, did he? But he's borderline a Cy Young pitcher every single year now.
I think he won the Cy Young.
He might have won the Cy Young last year. I don't even know. But he has a track record. So him going out and us putting 100-plus pitches on him in 4 1/3 innings. That's impressive for our hitters. We worked counts. We didn't swing at first pitches all the time, et cetera, et cetera. But on the flip side, Zach Eflin, he has a track record of having games like that. So I kind of feel contradictory by saying that it's okay that Corbin Burns pitched like that, but not Zach Eflin. But we've seen the track record of Zach Eflin not being able to string together consecutive strong performances. So, I mean, I know it was a win. I know it was the 7th in a row. I know we, swept the Brewers. But with yesterday's performance, I don't know how much you got to catch yesterday, even though you were off. Are you still concerned like me that Zach Eflin should not be like our third pitcher in this rotation?
No, I told you before. I think Zach Eflin is what he is. He's kind of like Kyle Gibson. I think when you have Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler pitching the way they are, if your two aces are doing their job, you can get away with average to mediocre pitching, in the bottom three. I don't think you need, obviously, I don't think Zach Eflin's been great, but I don't think he's been terrible either. I mean, yeah, you could call this not a quality start. Obviously, he didn't make it through 5. But I think, we really didn't talk much about Aaron Nola yesterday. But I think if you look at Aaron Nola right now, the way he's pitching, a lot of times I think, and I'm guilty of this because remember, I was the guy saying Aaron Nola was an ace. And then I was on your ex's show and we had that debate about, is Aaron Nola an ace? And of course I kind of I don't want to say I lost it because I never think I lose, but I kind of conceded that, maybe me and Chip had differences of opinions, let's say, of what an ace is. But anyway, needless to say, I think Aaron Nola, his whole problem that we always look at is his locating his fastball and locating his pitches. And if you look at this year, he's back to the Aaron Nola that won a Cy Young. Well, he didn't win the Cy Young. He came in second, I believe, that year when he had a 2.37 ERA. But he's back to pitching that way. So I think Zach Eflin, obviously I need him to be more consistent, but I don't think it's like a concern to me.
Yeah, see the thing is, so like I look at it this way. I look at it as if we're going to ever make it. Look, we're now 1 game under 500 now. Okay, we're making that. Like I remember I said the goal was baby goals. Let's get back to 500, and then we could worry about getting to 3 games over 500, so on and so on. If you're going to be consistent and continue this climb, I look at the starting rotation. Obviously, like you said, Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Cy Young level type performances right now. The problem with Zach Eflin is, Mark's saying he's been adequate. Okay. The problem is, like, Kyle Gibson has been consistently adequate. Ranger Suarez is still young. He only had 12 starts in his career coming into this year. I'm willing to give him the leash. If we're going to make a real run, I think we need another starting pitcher. You need a real number 3 or number 2 and bump Nola or Wheeler, whatever you want to do. You need a really good core 3. And I think if you bring in another starting pitcher, in my mind, and I know this will be a very unpopular opinion, most people will say Ranger, but if I'm bringing in another starting pitcher, the odd man out to me is Zach Eflin. Because Zach Eflin, you don't know what you're going to get. The numbers look adequate, but if you look at each game by game, he's either pitching 7 shutout innings, striking out 10 guys, or he's going 4 innings, throwing 100 pitches and walking a bunch of guys and giving up the ceiling to the floor for each start for Zach Eflin is so wide, the range, that come crunch time, you cannot count on Zach Eflin because you don't know what Zach Eflin you're going to get. You know what you're going to get with Kyle Gibson. You're going to get a guy that's going to go pitch 6 innings, 7 innings. He's going to give up 3 runs. He's going to strike out a few. He's going to walk a few. You know exactly what you're going to get with him. Ranger Suarez is still young. At this point, you've got to continue to see what you got there. So in my mind, right now, the odd man out is Zach Eflin. And it might be the unpopular decision or choice, but that's kind of where I'm at with Zach Eflin because I had very minimal confidence going into yesterday's game because I didn't know what I was going to get out of Zach Eflin. And then you saw what you were getting out of him yesterday, and I'm like, oh, there's no way we're going to win this game with Corbin Burns opposite of him. Now, it worked out, but, Yeah,
but I mean, and listen, I'm a full proponent and a full backer of the eye test.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about stats, but looking at Zach Eflin, his ERA is not piss poor. It's 3.76, which is actually a very good ERA right now in Major League Baseball. And he has a really good whip. He has a better whip than Ranger Suarez at 1.18. To me, I think whip sometimes is even more important than ERA because that's walks and hits per 9. Yeah. And he has a 1.18. So he's not pitching bad. Like, I get what you're saying, but
look, I got his last five games up. Last night, I know he only gave up 1 run yesterday, but it was the 3 walks. It was the high pitch count. It was just not a good. It was.
But he's only walked 12 on the season. That's not a lot of walks.
But I'm just looking at the performance overall. So 4 innings, high pitch count. That's all he got through yesterday. Then the game before that, he went 8 shutout, struck out 6, 5 hits, 1 walk. The game before that, 7 runs in 6 innings. Game before that, 2 runs in 7. So like the consistency is not there, and that's my problem with Zach Eflin. You could get Zach Eflin, one of the greatest pitchers of all time, or you can get Zach Eflin, who's a AAA pitcher, and you don't know any given day what you're going to get. And that's my problem with him is the lack of consistency.
I think all your points are valid, and I do think that if the Phillies continue this run and they do get back into playoff contention and to the point where they believe that, they're one guy away, I'm almost positive. I'm not almost positive. I will probably be willing to bet a lot that they will go out and make some type of trade for a pitcher. I do. I don't think
that's back. Armchair's question: who do you bring in? And I don't know who to bring in.
And I got to be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised if they were to make a move if Zach Eflin continues pitching okay to where his value is still a little bit. Like, it's not like he has no value. They might move him in a move to get a pitcher. Because he's a guy that, honestly, it's funny, but you said why does he get this long leash and Vinny Velasquez? Well, Vinny Velasquez had a 5-year leash. So, Zach Eflin hasn't approached that yet. But you're right. Zach Eflin doesn't get the same hate that Vinny Velasquez got. I will say that. I don't see anybody on Twitter saying, get rid of Zach Eflin.
That's interesting. You bring him up as a trade because I was thinking I was say who it's I don't know who to bring in yet. I don't. But who do you give up? And I had a name in my mind, but now you saying Zach Eflin, maybe he is a trade piece. Maybe we can find a more consistent person for that spot. I don't know. I was going to bring up and suggest red hot right now for the Phillies since he's come back is Didi. We need to get him and sell him at his peak, in my opinion. Especially if Gene Segura will only miss a few more weeks of baseball. Didi Gregorius and his big contract. So you got Stott out there every day. If Camargo hadn't gotten hurt and got on the IL, you could have started him at second base while Segura was still recovering.
Gene Segura, not to cut you off, Gene Segura is out till September.
What?
He's out 12 weeks.
I didn't see that. I just saw that he was out. Yeah.
They said probably it said 10 to 12 weeks, but they said probably more close to the 12. So Segura, I'm not planning on Segura being back until
the playoffs.
Yeah,
playoffs.
No, September.
Playoffs.
Well, that'll be the playoff run. But I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
I don't think Segura. I don't want to cut you off, but that is a lot worse than people just said. Oh, broken hand. Like, it's bad, dude.
Okay.
He's out long term. So.
Well, that sucks. But still, I'm still trading. No, I don't care. I'm still trading Didi Gregorius.
Oh, I want to trade Didi, but
I think there's.
I
think there's value there. I mean, he's hitting 300. He's an experienced left-handed bat. You find a team that's got a short left field or right field porch. You find a team that needs somebody that's got playoff experience. He's had some good runs with the Yankees. I don't know. I think he's a guy. He was a guy I was going to say has some value.
Well, that would fit the mold of.
You can contribute to Zach Eflin.
Yeah, well, that would fit the mold of buy sell together. You're selling Didi, but you're also going to go and get somebody. So I'm okay with that kind of move. I don't want to trade any of your. I don't want to trade any of your high level prospects. I don't want to trade Andrew Painter. I don't want to trade prospects to the point just to get somebody, because I'd rather go through this year with what we have and kind of because don't forget, Phil.
That's an interesting theory. And I know you said you're only going to go 15-20, but I want to rephrase your comment. Hold on. I want to rephrase this comment into a question.
I got it.
Are you willing to let this season ride out, playoffs or not, and not trade a single prospect? And don't worry about whether we make the playoffs or not. Or the only way you're going to get a big-time piece to really make a real push is to trade one of those young prospects.
I'm doing exactly what I just said. I'm holding the line because you got to remember, after this year, Gene Segura, Didi Gregorius, you have a ton of money coming off the books. So you're going to have a lot of money to spend on another free agent. And there's a lot of talk out there. I've seen a lot of people that are plugged in. And I don't know how – listen, a lot of times rumors are just rumors. But there's a lot of talk surrounding Xander Bogaerts from Boston. And he's actually probably – he's like another Francisco Lindor. Like, he's one of those elite shortstops. And so what would happen is I believe if the Phillies did go after him, they would probably move Stott to second, long term. And that's okay with me because you're keeping Stott in the lineup, and then you're getting, a top tier shortstop. Now, you would also probably be able to go out and get a center fielder. Now, the center fielder that I would target, now I don't know how much it would take, but I know the Orioles are a terrible team. I would go after the guy Cedric Mullins from the Orioles. He's a leadoff hitter. He's a typical leadoff hitter. He's a guy with speed, power, has all the 5 tools. He burst onto the scene last year with the Orioles. I don't know what that would take to get him. It would probably take some of your prospects. So if you could get a guy like Cedric Mullins, I might change my opinion.
Okay. I just think it's an interesting thought process because this team as a whole, still has holes. I still think the biggest glaring hole is that not one of your players is a leadoff hitter. Not one of them is a true leadoff hitter on this team. I don't care who you put in that leadoff spot. I know Schwarber's playing really well right now. Your center fielder, whether it's Moniak, Odubel, whoever, they're not leadoff hitters. You have no leadoff hitter. So it's almost like you have to trade one of your starters for a leadoff, somebody that can bat in that leadoff spot consistently. But I think it's an interesting thought process. Just let it ride as is. Don't trade for anybody. Whether you make a middling trade for a middle relief pitcher.
Well, I was just going to say, if I'm making any trade at this point, knowing the Phillies roster and where we're at, I want a closer. If I could get a closer that's available.
Do you need a closer if you're not really making a run at the World Series? Are you going to trade one of your prospects, your big prospects, for an elite closer this year when, realistically speaking, can we compete with the Dodgers or one of the top tier teams, the Mets, for that, NL crown?
I would have to see what the market is. I remember last year or 2 years ago when Craig Kimbrell got traded at the deadline and everyone was like, I'll never trade for Craig Kimbrell. And then you saw what they gave up to get Craig Kimbrell. It was basically an A-level prospect. It wasn't what you would think the market is to get a guy like that. So I would want to see what the market is. If you could get a closer, for not a lot on the prospect level, yes, then I'm doing it because we need a true closer, whether it's Sir Anthony or not. Like, I think Sir Anthony deserves a shot.
Yeah,
I think it's fair because I've seen arguments that he's not a closer. Well, listen, you could say that somebody's not something, but until they actually get the chance to try it, how can you say that? And he did succeed early before that injury. He had 16 saves that year. Right. So I don't want to hear that he doesn't have the stuff. Because to me, before he had that injury, that's what he profiled as a closer. So that's who I want as my closer. But once again, what we want and what happens is two different things.
I want a lot of things that I don't get. All right, real quick, 30 seconds. 3 games against the Arizona Diamondbacks at home this weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Gibson, Wheeler, Suarez. There are starters tentatively. I don't know if Wheeler's back. Have they said if Wheeler's back from maternity leave yet?
I haven't saw, but I'm hoping. Usually it's 2 or 3 days for that.
We're going against Gallen tonight, Bumgarner, and then Sunday the Diamondbacks don't have a starter yet released or announced. When does this win streak end? Does it end this weekend?
I mean, Shit, you know what? No, why not? Let's win 3.
Let's win all 3. I like that positivity.
I mean, I'm trying to be like I would say if I was a betting man, I'd say 2 out of 3. If they take 2 out of 3, I would
2 out of 3. I would be ecstatic if they took 2
we'll
out
be
of 3.
over 500 if they take 2 out of 3.
Exactly. So I like that. All right. That's enough Phillies talk. I said 15 minutes. We're at 21 minutes. We can never stick to a schedule, can we?
We can't, dude.
You pain in my ass, you are. All right. So let's transition to Eagles and talk. And I had a couple different ideas for today. It's Football Friday. I want to spend some time talking Eagles today. And I had some ideas planned, but then FanDuel, we talk about all the major media sites always putting out clickbait lists and, Chris Sims and his quarterback list, which is always a train wreck and stuff like that. And FanDuel, one of the leading gambling sites, put out their rankings of the NFC. Okay. All the teams in the NFC. And I think it's a fair list. It's a debatable list. I don't agree with the list, but it's not just complete and total trash clickbait material. So instead of what we were going to start with, we're going to start with this, and I'm going to put it up on the screen for people that haven't seen it yet. This was FanDuel's list. They got the Rams, the Bucks, the Cardinals at 3, the Cowboys 4, Vikings, Packers, the Eagles at 7, the Niners at 8. On the other side, on the bottom half, they got the Saints, the Washington, they got Detroit, Bears, Giants, Panthers, Falcons, Seahawks. So let's just start with the top here with the Rams and the Bucks. Can we agree that they're the 2 best teams in the NFC?
The Rams and the Bucks?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So the top of this list is pretty fair, right?
Yeah, I don't think Arizona belongs at 3.
Yeah, that's my first question, Mark, right there. Is Arizona at 3? I think there's too many question marks with Arizona to put. They could end up there at the end of the year, but with Kyler Murray, uncertainty what's going on in his tenure there, and whether they're on the same page.
D-Hop out 6 games too.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say D-Hop's out for 6 games. I still got the Packers, who they have at 6, up as the 3rd best team.
Yeah, I
got it Rams, Bucks, Packers, Cowboys at 4, Cardinals 5, Eagles at 6. That's how I would do the top. I don't know why they got the Vikings so high.
See,
did I miss
the Eagles ahead of Dallas?
You have the Eagles ahead of Dallas?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think Dallas. I think Dallas is overrated.
Yeah. I mean, they're still the reigning division champs. They still got Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Ezekiel. They still have a really good team. Until the Eagles beat them and win the division, I don't know if I could say I preseason put them ahead of the Eagles, or the Eagles ahead of them. But I just don't get the love of the Vikings there. Because did I miss the Vikings doing something major this offseason? I mean, they still got Kirk Cousins throwing the football there.
They got a new coach.
Yeah, so does a new coach put you up that high instantly? I don't know. So I got the Eagles ahead of them. And KC checking and saying, the Vikings are too high. The Saints are too high. Oh, the Saints are too high. I thought some people would say the Saints, should be closer to like the 7-8 range than that. I'm just curious what your thoughts are. Outside of the Cardinals, anybody else poorly rated on this list here?
Yeah, I think Minnesota is a little bit higher on the list than I would have them. I think, to me, every single year, there's always one team that will kind of rise up that everybody's not picking. We saw it last year. It was the Eagles.
Right.
Like where the Eagles were the team that surprised and made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Looking at this list, I think New Orleans. Yeah, I think they deserve to be a little higher. I know they don't have Drew Brees anymore, but I think they had a pretty decent draft. They got Michael Thomas supposedly coming back healthy this year. Finally he had a whole year where he was really pretty much injured the whole season. Their defense is phenomenal. Now I know they don't have the coach either. I don't know. That's a good. Yeah, I think Detroit is a surprise. I don't. I know they had a great draft, but to have Detroit all of a sudden 11th, and the Falcons, just because they lost Matt Ryan, you drop them to 15th. I think that's a little. I think the bottom of the list is more messed up than the top. I think the top is pretty spot on. Besides, I agree with you. I think you flip flop Arizona and
the Packers.
And the Packers.
Casey say that it's going to be the Bears' year. They're going to be the team that surprises. I can't get behind that, Casey. No way that I could get behind Justin Fields. I just can't. I just can't do that. Cards and Vikes don't belong in the top 5. Absolutely agree.
That list is ass. I love it.
All right, so I do want to say I agree with the bottom of the list. Falcons, Seahawks at the 15th, 16th. Did you see Geno Smith's comments yesterday?
How do you have the Falcons and Seahawks below the Lions, though?
The Lions had a pretty good draft. They had a good offseason. I saw some potential with Dan Campbell last year.
See, I think the Carolina Panthers. I think the Panthers could be that team, and I'm going to tell you why. Christian McCaffrey is still, if he is healthy, he's a guy that basically can carry a team.
Yeah,
he's a superstar, and
the question is, will he ever be healthy again?
Well, a lot of people are sleeping on what. I mean, it's easy to say that. You could say that about any running back because I get it. It's a position that injury is a very touchy subject. But all right, I'm going to give you this. If for somehow Christian McCaffrey can be healthy, I think a lot of people are hating on Sam Darnold to the point where you got to remember that he came from the Jets, who had basically the worst coach. They had the worst franchise in the NFL, the Jets, in the past probably 10 years. They're just terrible as a franchise. It was his first year in a new system with Carolina. They do have DJ Moore. They have good wide receivers. And their defense is actually pretty good. So I think them being ranked 14th is not where I would have them. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they could make noise if McCaffrey is healthy, is what I'm saying.
I wanted to backtrack to Detroit for a second. I don't know if you saw the news yesterday, but Dan Campbell did say that the guy we thought we wanted to draft so bad, Jameson Williams, and everything was saying he was going to be ready to go, he's now not going to be ready to even start training camp. So he's falling behind on his rehab now. So, and we may have dodged a bullet there with the Jameson Williams thing. Just throwing that out there. And then throw on Seattle there. Mark saying, how's Geno Smith the starting quarterback for Seattle? Well, Geno Smith thinks that Seattle has a championship caliber team. Now, I got to ask you about that. We talk about quarterbacks being the team leader. I'm going to pull this off the screen here for a second while we talk this, and then we get back to the Eagles. Geno Smith coming out and saying that since he's the starting quarterback, he comes out and says, we have a championship caliber team. I love the confidence that Geno Smith has by saying that. But is that a good message? Obviously Seattle is not a championship caliber team. Their defense isn't as good as it used to be. Who knows if DK Metcalf will be there week 1? He's already said he's not going to any of the mandatory OTAs. How you can go and say that and put undue expectations on your team now, and undue pressure. He could just come out and say, yeah, I like this team. We got a lot of fight. We got a lot of fire. We're going to surprise some people, etc. He could say positive leading type comments, but not actually use the term, because I can't believe that anybody in that locker room actually truly believes they should be one of the favorites for a championship. Do you know what I'm getting at there? Seattle
was a championship caliber team when they had Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson was Superman. Like, he was a guy that basically carried that team at points. I mean, when they had a great when they had their run, it was their defense was extremely good. But Russell Wilson played behind one of the worst offensive lines in football. He's now went to one of the best offensive lines in Denver. I'm actually excited to see him in Denver with what he can do with the weapons that they have. They have great running backs and they have great wide receivers. So I agree. I think Geno Smith is playing the role, and I commend him for it, but I don't believe it.
I think he's going overboard with the role he's playing there, and I think that's the problem. Jalen Hurts, he comes out last year and says, "Yeah, we're putting in the work every day. Rent is due. he said the motivating leadership things, but in realistic, believable terms.
I don't think he can go overboard, though. Don't forget, he doesn't care what fans think. He's worried about the locker room. So, I mean, he's doing what he thinks is going to be the best for his team. I can't fault him for it. I mean, maybe he really does believe that they're better than what they're getting credit. He obviously believes in himself. If he's the starting quarterback, like Geno Smith, a guy that I remember when Geno Smith was drafted. I mean,
right?
I thought he was a total flop. And look, here we are 7 years later, or whatever, 6, 7 years later, and he's
still kind of a flop. He hasn't really done anything in the NFL. He's been pretty damn
He's a
bad.
starter by default because who else do they have? Drew Lock? They're basically
tanking
start in Denver.
Yeah. They're basically tanking the season to get the number 1 pick next year. It seems like Seattle. And now you got Denver. Now, we could talk about would Cleveland regret the deal they gave Deshaun Watson and the trade for him. But that's another whole subject. Now now Russell Wilson in Denver now wants his contract renegotiated, and he wants to be the highest paid quarterback in football. And while Russell Wilson's great, blah blah blah, they just traded Denver all those picks, all those assets, et cetera, to get Russell Wilson. They kind of have no choice now, do they? Russell Wilson's got them by the cojones, and if he wants to be the highest paid quarterback in football, they kind of have to now because they can't say no and have him sit out. That's sticky situation right there.
Dude,
he wants
to have a whole subject.
$10 million.
We could have a whole subject on this topic.
Mm-hmm.
The new era of athletes, how they kind of force their way. It's like the playbook has already been written, and you're just seeing it throughout the sports. It's not just football; it's baseball, it's hockey. It's if a guy wants out that bad, all you got to do is ask for more money.
He doesn't want out of Denver.
No, but he's asking for more money. So what do they do? If they say no, you're right. Then he's going to be like, well, okay, well then I'm sitting out.
You traded all these draft picks and all these players to get him. You pretty much you can't say no to him.
I mean, a lot of times these things happen, when the deal is made, like they renegotiate a contract, right. Which
the thing was he wasn't a free. It's not like he's on the last year of his deal, Russell Wilson. He just wants the whole deal ripped up and renegotiated because he sees everybody else get paid. And
I can't blame him, though. I can't blame him.
You know what? I don't blame the players in football because they're non-guaranteed contracts, and the owners will cut them and deal with the dead money, whatever.
I hate when other people say, he signed the contract. He signed the contract. But if I'm better than Joe Schmo and I just signed a deal and then that guy signs a better deal, no, I want more money. Like, I mean, that's just human nature. I can't fault these guys. Like, I get the guys that are like being greedy, where it's like, okay, you already signed a 400, what's his name was doing? The guy Juan Soto, like that was just greediness. Like when they offered him a $300 million contract and he turned it down, like as if he's like, the greatest player ever in the history of baseball. Like, dude, you're Juan Soto. You've had 2 good years. I like your talent, but dude, you got to do a lot more if you want to get.
I also think sometimes that if you turn those big deals down, sometimes that shit can backfire. What was his name? He played for the Lakers. He was a backup point guard this year. He played for Boston too. He got offered like a $95 million contract 2 years ago, and he said no, and he bailed on it, and he bet on himself. And Casey, maybe or somebody watching. Why can't I think of his name?
What team was he on? The Lakers?
He played the Lakers this year as a backup. We talked about getting him at the trade deadline this year and last year, but he bet on himself, and then he got hurt or something like that. I forget what happened, and he ended up getting like a $2 million contract. Let me look this up here real quick. But anyway,
but in the scheme of things,
you bet on yourself, and then it can back. It absolutely can backfire on you.
Well, that's why when the Eagles made when they redid the AJ Brown deal, I said we got to steal. I mean, you got AJ Brown at 125 million. Like Devontae Adams and these other guys, we're like double that. I think you got a bargain.
Yeah. All right. Let's
a bargain.
let's get back to the Eagles on this subject, though, and rankings and all. Do you think ranking them 7th is fair? I mean, I think they could be 5th or 6th on this list, but that's a pretty realistic spot, though. 5, 6, 7 at this moment till we determine and figure out, what Jalen Hurts is, right?
I mean, I think their ceiling could be anywhere up to even to the 3rd.
Absolutely, their ceiling.
If Jalen Hurts has a monumental improvement or improves even half, if he improves even half of what we think that he can be, I mean, I think the sky's the limit for this Eagles roster. I think I'm going out on a limb here. I'm saying that they're already championship caliber. Are they ready to contend for that? It might be another year or so, but I think 5th. I think I would have them 5th or 6th. So I think 7th.
But I also think they're good enough where they're good enough where their floor is like the 7th, 8th. I think I would probably have them realistically as the 6th best team in the NFC right now, and with that 3rd as the ceiling. But realistically, they're better than a lot of those teams on the second half of the list, where unless a catastrophe of injuries happens and everything just completely falls apart, the 8th is the worst that they're going to be. Dennis Schroeder, Casey, that's what I was thinking of. Dennis Schroeder was the guy that bet on himself and got offered a huge contract and then completely bombed, and it didn't work out for him. Anyway, so let's look at the Eagles in the NFC, because the start of it all comes with, in my opinion, you've got to win the NFC. I mean, yes, the 7th, there's 7 playoff spots. You can get that last wild card spot like last year, etc. But I still want to win the NFC. And I don't know when was the last time that a team won back-to-back NFC East crowns. So the Cowboys win the NFC East crown, again, is unlikely. So I want to start talking about the Eagles, ranking their players amongst the other guys just in the NFC East. So I'm going to ask Jason to give me his rankings of the top guys. So quarterback is only a top 4. We'll go top 4 or 5 on the wide receivers and the running backs. So give me the 4 starting quarterbacks projected in the NFC East: Dak, Jalen, Danny Dimes, and Carson Wentz. How do you have them ranked right now on your board?
Do you want me to go from worst to first?
Whatever order you want to go. Whatever order you want to go.
All right. Well, I mean, it's pretty easy. So at 4,
this is very easy and not even debatable.
At 4, the worst quarterback in the division is absolutely the Giants, Daniel Jones. Mm-hmm. Daniel Jones is terrible. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, here's a hot take for you. Tyrod Taylor will be starting week 6. By week 6.
By week 6, I'd have to look at their schedule. But yeah, definitely somewhere early in the season.
That's a hot take. Anyway,
I mean, you got Brian Dabble, brand new coach. If he can't figure it out with Daniel Jones, this is it. This is Daniel Jones's last chance to be the starting quarterback, and they're trying to change the culture there in New York. So week 5, 6, 7, something like that, absolutely. If he comes out and puts out stinker after stinker early in the season, if they're 2-3, 1-4, something like that to start the season, absolutely, I could see week 6 being the time. And Tyree Taylor is a very viable backup that could slide in and be a serviceable backup or starting quarterback if need be.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at.
Okay.
So at 3, this was where it was tough for me because I want to say that. Well, at 3, I'll just give you my list. At 3, I have Jalen Hurts at 3.
Wow.
I have Carson Wentz at 2, and I have Dak Prescott at 1.
All right. Well, I got to ask you, why do you have Carson Wentz number 2? I got to ask you that because Carson Wentz has now gone from getting kicked out of Philly to going to Indy, and I know he, statistically speaking, had an okay season, yardage-wise, touchdowns to interceptions, etc. But he had such a bad season, non-statistically speaking, that Indy traded a lot for him and still got rid of him for less, basically just to get rid of him, and sent him off to Washington. So, like, what are you seeing that you would rank him? Because Jalen Hurts, there's still a lot of question marks. I get that.
I'm doing my ranking on talent and the question marks. That's what it is. Carson Wentz is a bad person in the locker room. I'm not. I can't. I'm not ready to say that Jalen Hurts is better now.
Okay, that's
and I'm a Jalen Hurts guy, so you
I
know
know you are. That's why I
I'm
thought you were
trying
going
to be honest with.
I thought you were going to put him ahead of Dak and put him number
I'm
one.
trying to be honest with my rankings, and I still think that Carson Wentz, as much as people hate the guy, which including me, because I think he's a stunad at this point, the way that he's basically a cancer in the locker room. I can't say that Carson Wentz is not a talented quarterback. He is. He can make all the throws when he wants to. Let's put it that way. Jalen Hurts, I don't know yet. Jalen Hurts could be number one by the end of this year. Okay. So right now, that's my list. Yeah.
I just don't know if I could put. I actually was thinking of putting Wentz at 4 behind Daniel Jones.
No way.
And you're talking. You remember, I'm the one that had 2 years going into 2020. I had Carson Wentz ranked as the 4th best quarterback in the NFC or in the NFL, the whole league. And maybe after Chris Sims' list is completely done, we'll do our own, rank the quarterbacks topic type part of this show. But I had Carson Wentz as the number 4 quarterback 2 years ago. And I'm already at the point where I'm ready to put Daniel Jones ahead of him. Because at least Daniel Jones, maybe you can say, for argument's sake, hasn't been unlocked because he was stuck with Jason Garrett. Maybe you could say Brian Daboll, who got the most out of, Josh Allen up in Buffalo, can get more out of Daniel Jones. So maybe I'm trying to convince myself. I mean, I got Dak as 1, obviously. I know it pains me to say this. I'm a Dak Prescott fan. Always have been. I liked him at Mississippi State. I wanted the Eagles to draft him. We didn't have Carson Wentz at that point when he came out. I thought he would be the perfect. He kind of reminded me of a Donovan McNabb type with a better accuracy. Big-bodied guy that could run and scramble the first down. Strong guy. I like Dak Prescott. I hate the Cowboys. I hate 2 of my favorite guys coming out of college. Dak Prescott and Micah Parsons are both on the Cowboys. And that breaks my freaking heart so much. The 2 guys I wanted on the Eagles are in Cowboys blue. But I don't know if the off-the-field things, and again, this goes back to the topic that me and George always debate. The off-the-field intangibles, the locker room leadership has to count when you're evaluating a player. And Jalen Hurts is 10 times the off-the-field person and locker room leader that Carson Wentz ever will be. And that's why I think you have to put Jalen Hurts ahead of Carson Wentz. So it's still Dak, Hurts. I'm just gonna say it's Dak, Hurts, Jones, Wentz for me.
It's fair.
I'm gonna just write that down. So at the end of the year, we can compare these, and come back to this here. I mean, but I think it's pulling strings almost, because the off the field stuff, everything all together, the quarterback, it's a quarterback driven league. You rank Wentz 2. Do you really think the Washington Commanders have a chance of being better overall than the Eagles?
No.
Or do you think it's closer than people realize, standings wise in the NFC East?
I mean, I can't look at Washington's roster and say that they're a bad roster. I mean, their defense just 2 years ago was number 1 defense in the NFL. Like last year, they took a step back. But I do look at Washington I think the reason Washington and Dallas always struggle is the dysfunction at the top. It's ownership. It's leadership. It's not bad rosters, because Dallas and Washington both have a lot of stars. I mean, they do. Washington's defense is loaded. I think. I mean, you could argue that Terry McLaurin is the best wide receiver that Carson Wentz has ever had.
We're going to get to that wide receiver here then. So you say Terry McLaurin. That's a great segue. I want your top 5 wide receivers in the NFC East. And let's just start. If your top 5, where is Terry McLaurin on your top 5?
Terry McLaurin's my 3rd.
He's 3rd, okay. Okay, so
I'll give you my list.
Yeah, go backwards from 5 through 1.
Okay, so at 5, I have. I'm trying to think. who's on the rosters. At 5.
Man, you didn't prepare yourself for this segment?
No, because I didn't know you had 5. I only had 4.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna go at 5. I'm gonna go
Jalen Reagor?
no, the Dallas is second. Who's Dallas's wide receiver? The guy that's coming back from the injury. The guy that's coming. He was out all week.
Yeah, Gallup. Michael Gallup.
Michael Gallup at 5.
Okay.
At 4, Devonta Smith.
Okay.
At 3, Terry McLaurin. At 2, CeeDee Lamb. At 1, Antonio Brown.
Okay.
That's my list.
So I agree. All right. So I don't know. Michael Gallup, number 5. You got Kenny Galladay. I know he had a bad year with the Giants last year, coming back from injury. You've got, I don't even know who number 2 is in there. CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, I mean,
you could argue that Galladay maybe is 5th, but Galladay to me is like trending down. Like
I was trying to see. Basically, what I was doing was I was trying to find a way that the Eagles did not have 2 guys on this list.
There's no way they do have.
There's no way. I was trying to find a way. Can you make an argument that Terry McLaurin is better than CeeDee Lamb or AJ Brown?
No, not yet.
Not yet. But he does have a better quarter. You did say this is the best quarterback wide receiver the 2 of them have played.
You could say it both ways. You could probably say that both ways.
This is insane to like I knew the Eagles wide receiver, like pairing AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, one of the best wide receiver duos in all of football. But when you write it down in a list and you rank the NFC, Antonio Brown, Arthur Von Brown.
Did I say Antonio Brown? I'm sorry, no. Jesus.
Did you? I don't know.
AJ Brown, come on.
AJ Brown. I think we know who you're meaning there. Casey's on fire there.
I'm hot.
I don't know, man. I got to think about it. I think your list is spot on, and the fact that we have 2 of the top 4 on this list, 1 and 4. I mean, I think going by the end of the season, potentially, if Jalen Hurts takes steps forward, et cetera, you might have the 1-2 list on this list. Devontae Smith could be better than Lamb. He could be better than McLaurin. I don't know. That's a good list, and it just makes me even more excited.
I know you're confused because there's no Giants, but I'm going to tell you why. Like, I look at the Giants, it's not that they have terrible wide receivers, but I wouldn't put Kenny Galladay, I wouldn't put Sterling Shepard, I wouldn't put even their guy, that Kadarius Toney, who they drafted last year, I wouldn't put any of them over that top 5. I wouldn't. So
yeah, see, the thing that's confusing me is the Gallup at 5, which just shows me one thing. And we've got 2 lockdown corners now, Bradbury and Darius Slay. That taking Amari Cooper off the Cowboys. I mean, I'm not trying to say anything bad about Michael Gallup. I like Michael Gallup. You know, he's a guy I look for in fantasy coming into the last couple of years, et cetera. I wanted to target before he tore his ACL. But the drop-off from 4 Devontae Smith to 5 Gallup and all those other names you listed are insane. And that just goes to show when we line up on defense against our NFC East rivals, that having Darius Slay and James Bradbury now, I mean, who's the second guy that we have to worry about and watch? Who's the second guy? Are we really going to be worried about Michael Gallup destroying James Bradbury on defense? You know, this makes me even more excited for the Eagles.
Yeah, well, because if Amari Cooper was on Dallas still, he would have been my number 1. He would have been over Antonio.
Absolutely.
He would have been over AJ Brown, just because he's been doing it for a long time. I mean, we're not talking about dynasty rankings here. We're talking right now, receiver, where you're at in your career.
I got KC off here for a second. I mean, he's got Cooper on his list. Cooper plays for the Cleveland Browns, I believe it is now. So Amari Cooper does not count on that list. And I think it's not as far of a reach as Jason probably would think to put Lamb over Brown. It's close. It's really close. Lamb is just younger and has a little bit less. Lamb's never been the number 1 guy. He always was behind Cooper. So being the number 1 guy now, I think Lamb could, by the end of the season, be that one guy. But he also isn't good. Like, A.J. Brown might lose catches to Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith might lose some to Brown.
I'm not looking at numbers. I'm looking at strictly talent. I think A.J. Brown's the most talented wide receiver.
I do think CeeDee Lamb has the potential to be that as better than A.J. Brown. Will he be better than A.J. Brown? I don't know.
CeeDee Lamb long term. CeeDee Lamb long term could be better, but it's still the jury's out. They're both young. CeeDee Lamb's only a year younger than A.J. Brown. They're not. It's not like they're like 5 years apart. Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb, I just think has when I wanted him with the Eagles so bad. Like when we got Jalen Reagor instead of Justin Jefferson. Yeah, I was pissed off, but I was more pissed off that we didn't trade up to get CeeDee Lamb because CeeDee Lamb was my number one wide receiver that year. I wanted him so bad, and knowing on paper that all you had to do was basically. Look, hindsight's 2020. I'm a big Jalen Hurts guy. I love Jalen Hurts now. But basically, Atlanta wanted the Jalen Hurts pick and the Jalen Reagor pick to move up. And the Eagles did not want to give up that second-round pick to get up to get CeeDee Lamb. So basically, theoretically speaking, you could have CeeDee Lamb on this roster right now with Carson Wentz or somebody else at quarterback, whatever, or Jalen Reagor and Jalen Hurts. Now, Jalen Hurts is our starting quarterback. So now it's worked out because of how much the Carson Wentz debacle went.
That just shows you
the whole history of the Eagles changes on that draft night by not making that trade. Who knows what we'd be talking about right now?
I agree. That just goes to show you. That goes to show you how good those two last years of drafts were for wide receivers.
Absolutely.
Because remember that year, Henry Ruggs actually went number one off the board. Unfortunately, Henry Ruggs is no longer in the league. Yeah. I mean, that was a sad story, but I'm not knocking the guy. He just whatever. He screwed up.
On talent alone, yeah, he
was
there.
Yes, he was the number one taken. But the number one wide receiver that year in a lot of people's minds was CeeDee Lamb.
Yep.
The number one receiver so far out of that draft class by far is Justin Jefferson.
Absolutely.
Who was taken after. And then you look at last year, you had Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, and Jalen Waddle, who are all going to be superstars moving forward. So you had two drafts of wide receivers that were like way up
loaded. Yeah, loaded. And that's not looking at the rest of the draft because there were guys taking in the second, third round that are performing pretty damn well in the NFL too. All right.
Don't forget T. Higgins the year prior.
I was just gonna. That's kind of what I was hitting at there because he's somebody I wanted the Eagles to take. Jason Bateman. Rashad Bateman. Yeah, it's
Jason Bateman.
Rashad Bateman hasn't even had a chance to really be, everything.
Antonio Brown, Jason Bateman.
We are all over the place with names, man. Dude, I've been calling our foster dog the wrong name the last 24 hours. I don't know what's wrong with me. All right, running backs. All right, so I guess we could say top 4 or top 5, whatever you want to do. If you think a team's got 2 that you want to add to a list here, I think this is an intriguing list. Because you got 2 running backs in Dallas with Ezekiel Elliott, the bigger name, Tony Pollard, the younger, flashier guy. You got Saquon Barkley, who you got a running back by committee technically or unofficially in Philly. You got Antonio Gibson in Washington, who going into last year was supposed to be the next Christian McCaffrey and was never used like that. I think there's some intrigue. I'm excited to hear your running back ranking because there's a lot of question marks with all the running backs in the NFC East.
So once again, mine's strictly on talent level.
Yep.
And yes, I get the injury factor, but I'm going on guys like, okay, so I'll just give you my list first.
Yeah, just give me the list first.
At number 4, I got Miles Sanders.
Okay.
At number 3, now this is, don't forget, he's aging. I have Ezekiel Elliott.
That's fine. I think that's fair.
Number 2, I have Antonio Gibson. And at number 1, I got Barkley, Saquon. Because and the reason I have Saquon Barkley number 1 is when he's healthy, he is. I mean, the Giants, we make fun of them for drafting a running back so high, but Saquon, when he is healthy, is probably top 2. Top
I'm gonna completely disagree with you on it because he doesn't. But you can't. The potential of the talent, I get that. But the fact that he did not look healthy last year.
Yeah, but it's
so Yeah, I can't put Barkley as number one in the NFC East. I just can't do it. I honestly, and this is my opinion. I would, yeah. Zeke's saying it right, or Casey's saying it right here. If he was healthy last year, or even showed some glimpses of health last year, maybe, or got healthier.
It's a hard injury to come back from. See, that's where you got not you guys. That's where people make a mistake. That's where people make a mistake with injuries. Like, do you think that that's an easy injury to come back from, especially for a running back? No, of course not. It's a year later.
But that's what I'm saying. Sometimes when you have that injury, you don't ever most running backs don't ever come back to full health.
And that's
different
fine.
in other positions. So the way I've got it,
I guess maybe I'm betting on it.
You're betting on him being healthy, which I think that's a bad bet. You know, that's a donkey bet in my opinion. Because quite frankly, I got him ranked 4th in the NFC East. I know it's insane to think. I got it different. I got Gibson as number 1. Antonio Gibson. I think he's the best running back in the NFC East. If they use him properly, it's more of a structure and a system thing. You take Gibson off the Washington football team and put him in another team that you like. Just look at how the Colts use running backs. Hell, look at how the Eagles used the running backs last year. Antonio Gibson should be a top 5 running back on talent alone in the NFL, and he doesn't get it, and because he doesn't get the touches. So I got Gibson ranked number 1. I got Zeke ranked number 2 because even though he's a little slower, he still finds a way to get in the end zone. He does. I got Miles Sanders 3, and that's a real stretch to put him over, Saquon Barkley. But I just watching Saquon Barkley last year, I know it's a tough injury to come back from, but some people when they come back from that injury, they show flashes of the ability, the former ability, and then if you see some flashes of the former ability, then the next year maybe they're fully healthy, and you can see them take. I didn't see a single flash from Saquon Barkley last year. The cutting, the juking, the moving, the burst, the speed, the hitting the holes. I didn't see any of it. I think Saquon Barkley, and it's very unfortunate, Saquon Barkley is going to become a very average running back for the rest of his career, if not be out of the league in the next couple of years. It's unfortunate. I could be wrong, and that's not giant hate. That's just what I saw last year. It's pretty bad, pretty weak, in my opinion.
I mean, I have to disagree with you. All right, but I get what you're saying, and I'm not gonna say that you don't have valid points. I just think
you could say it. I'm gonna say you're wrong.
Huh?
I said you could say it. I'm just gonna disagree.
Well, we obviously disagree. We disagree a lot on that because I think Antonio Gibson, I agree. I had him too, but the reason I have Saquon Barkley over him is that he's not going to be used the way that he should be used, Gibson. Saquon Barkley, once again, if you look at the Giants' offense, and the fact of the matter is that their passing offense is not that good. They're going to lean on Barkley again this year if he's healthy. Now, I agree. It's a tough injury. Could he be one of those running backs that just kind of falls off a cliff and never comes back? Yes, I do. But I guess the difference between you and me is I'm betting that he's going to come back. I've seen that talent. Mm-hmm. It's too much talent to just say that he's going to forget how to play his position.
It's not running back's different. It's not about forget. You can't. It's not like you forget how to play the position. It's whether your legs can do it. There's a reason why the running backs in the NFL have the shortest career shelf life of any position in the NFL. Because the wear and tear, the pounding and stuff like that they take on a regular basis, and then you add in an ACL tear. That's real tough to come back from.
Oh, here we go.
How do we know the Giants passing out? We don't know. And George, I don't know if you're tuned in the whole show. I mean, Daniel Jones. I mean, could he be benched by? I actually think the Giants will end up being better with Tyrod Taylor eventually when they bench Daniel Jones. I'm extremely scared of the Giants. I really am. And the Giants line isn't the greatest, if I remember. Yeah, he can't. The Giants offensive line was horrendous last year. I'm extremely scared of the Giants team as an organization going forward over the next 3 to 5 years. The Giants did very non-Giant things this offseason. They fired the bad GM in Gettleman. They fired their coach. They brought in a smarter GM. They went out and didn't make the I'm smarter than you hire a coach. They went out and got a head coach that was a smart. Brian Daboll, on paper, seems like he's the right fit there. I'm scared of that organization going forward, but I still think they don't have a quarterback that could do it. So that's what it's going to come down to there. Whether Daboll unlocks Daniel Jones, I don't know. Man, if Brian Daboll unlocks Daniel Jones, watch out. Watch out. That's going to be scary. Absolutely. Is there as many questions Hurts as Daniel? Who's got more question marks at this point? Daniel Jones, who we've seen 3 full seasons of as a starter, or Jalen Hurts, who we've seen one and a quarter. There's more questions on Jalen Hurts, but have we seen enough of Daniel Jones to be able to say maybe he's just not the guy? I think that's an interesting question.
I mean, that's a really good question, actually.
The way I'm rephrasing George's comment into a question because we have seen 3 full years, but we've seen 3 years of Daniel Jones in 3 different systems with different coaches and no talent around him. I get it from a passing perspective. I'm looking at maybe more of a big picture perspective. If we're willing to give Jalen Hurts more time, is 3 years enough time, even with all the turmoil that the Giants have had, to say that have we fully seen the max of Daniel Jones yet?
I mean, that's who they're going with. That's the guy they drafted to be their franchise guy. It just seems like they're giving him a lot of time.
They're giving him a lot of leash.
They don't have any other options. Like, they could have drafted a quarterback this year, but they have so many holes that they had to fix the holes first. And their offensive line is a disgrace. Well, it's been a disgrace. That's part of the reason why Barkley probably got hurt, is the fact that their offensive line is just god awful. Mm-hmm. They had a bad coach. Matt Rule was not.
They had a lot of everything. Yeah.
They had a bad GM for how many years? They did win 2 Super Bowls though.
Yeah,
years prior, but that was under Eli Manning, who a lot of people don't give Eli Manning the credit for what he was. He wasn't like his brother, obviously.
Oh, let's not go down that rabbit hole. We're already over the hour and 2-minute mark. I don't want to start a Eli Manning conversation here because that could go on for hours.
My point is that they haven't fully replaced Eli Manning. Daniel Jones was supposed to be the guy, and they've given him, yes, a longer leash, but it's part and parcel because there's nobody available. It's the same as the Eagles. The Eagles could have drafted a quarterback this year. They are going with Hurts, and rightfully so. The guy deserves a shot. Like, whether or not George likes him or whoever doesn't like him, at this point, the guy still deserves a shot. Like, let's see what he does this year. If he doesn't do well, then you obviously traded for a draft pick next year. So I get tired of the people that won't give the guy a shot. It's easy to sit here and say that you know it all and he's going to not succeed. But, I've said that about a lot of people and I've been wrong. Like, I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong.
We are not getting this, George.
I hope he does succeed.
We're not starting this conversation right now because I'm wrapping the show up right here at this exact moment, guys. I got to get to work. It's Friday. I got to pizza. George, you are a hater. No, you're not a hater. I love you.
I did not say he was a hater. Did not say it.
I'm muting the mics, guys. We're done. We're wrapping it up. This is the end of another week here at Trending in the AM, right here on DSM Media. Make sure you're following everybody, subscribe, sharing, et cetera, retweeting it, doing what we ask you to do on a daily basis. We greatly appreciate everybody's support. We'll be back next week. Overreaction Monday on Monday, obviously. And everybody enjoy the weekend. Enjoy what nice weather. There's not going to be much nice weather this weekend, but enjoy. Let's get the Phillies continuing this win streak. We'll continue more Eagles talk. That's what it is. It's the off season. We're just having fun with these conversations. No harm, no foul. Everybody have a great day. Everybody have a great weekend. Thank you for tuning in, and go Birds, baby.
Go Birds.